Good morning, Ridgewood. This is our news for today, but please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated for a moment of silence.
Today is February 17th. Our quote of the day: every time the sun rises, a new hope begins.
Cada vez que sale el sol, comienza una nueva esperanza.
Today's lunch is a choice between breaded chicken tenders and a beef and bean cheese burrito. You also have vegetables of mashed potatoes and broccoli and cheese. Your grain is a homemade yeast roll. And don't forget, you also get fruit, juice, and milk. Today will be partly cloudy and only 43 degrees. Stay bundled. Today's Black History Month fact of the day: Madam C.J. Walker, who was born Sarah Breedlove, invented specialized hair products for African American hair and became the first American woman to become a millionaire. Madam C.J. Walker was born December 23, 1867. She passed away May 25, 1919.
Madam C.J. Walker was born Sarah Breedlove in 1867 on a plantation in Delta, Louisiana, where her parents had been slaves before the Civil War. And her early life was really bleak. By the time she was 7 years old, both parents had died. She got married at 14, she said, to get a home of her own because she was being abused by a cruel brother-in-law, as she described him. She became a mother at 17 and a widow at 20. Necessity is always the mother of invention, and Madam C.J. Walker was losing her hair. There was no big line of hair care products for black women or white women at the time. People usually used home remedies. She eventually came up with her own formula, and the real secret was not the product itself, but it was washing her hair more often and applying an ointment that contained sulfur. And this was really pretty revolutionary at the time. You think about it, there was no penicillin, there was no aspirin. Skin care, scalp care was something that was really neglected. People didn't bathe very often. They washed their hair even less often, sometimes not at all during the winter. And as a result, a lot of people were going bald. They had really horrible scalp disease. Sarah Breedlove, who later became Madam C.J. Walker, was one of those women. And by developing this system, essentially, her scalp became healthy, her hair began to grow back. She developed a hair care product line, and then she trained thousands of other women who began to buy and sell her products. And by the time she moved to Harlem in 1916, she was one of the wealthiest and most successful African American entrepreneurs in the country.
Hi, boys and girls. I just want to remind you that this month we're still talking about relationships. How can you build better relationships with the people around you? We talked about a lot of things last week. This week I want to focus in on some of the things that you can say. And so like this week, I want you to try to say nice things to each other. It could be compliments like, I really like your backpack, it's really cool, or I like your drawing that you did. Or it could be using your manners, like please, thank you, I'm sorry, excuse me. Those are things that you could always say to someone. If you accidentally bump someone, excuse me. Or if they offer you something, oh yes, thank you. And then the last thing is encouraging words. You might see a friend who is really struggling. They may be having a hard day. They didn't do well on a test, or they forgot their homework, or they're just, maybe they did something at home before they even got there that you can tell they're in a bad mood. Maybe you could just encourage them and say, oh, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. Is there anything I can do for you? Or maybe they're a little worried about the upcoming test. You can say, you got this, you're going to do great. So you think this week, all week long, I want you to think about how you can say nice things to build relationships.
This week's perfect attendance. Teachers, please read off your students' names when it gets to your class.